I still haven't had time to finish up my other planned projects, but I've at least got them in the works. In the meantime, though, I did have time to finish the next Deviantart request. Sadly, this one wasn't as detailed, but it was still specific enough. The requester asked for a 17-year-old girl dressed in magical girl attire who was playful and childish with pigtails and freckles. They didn't specify hair or eye color, so I defaulted to a redhead because I'm married to one and I'm extremely biased. When it came to the hair, I wanted to make it curly like some of my favorite redheads out there. Curls are something that are really fun to play around with as an artist. You can pretty much draw them however you want because that's kind of how real curls are. I decided to go with chunky cartoony curls like Darla Dimple from Cats Don't Dance. That's one of my sister's favorite movies. I was a big fan of Sailor Moon growing up, so I kind of went with that sort of a theme for the clothing, with the exception of the sailor neckline. I had the sketch done already. I worked on it the night before after I'd gotten ready for bed. This is a delicate subject, but it's something I tend to be more thoughtful about when I draw women. That's right, I'm talking about yabos. When drawing yabos, consider that they are as unique as the women they belong to. However, the usual shape in cartoony characters like this one tends to be a flatter incline on the top that meets the swoop that comes up from the bottom in a point that can be rounder or more angular depending on the artist's taste. Because this character is supposed to be 17, I wanted to keep her yabos to a modest size. That's not to say that ladies with modest yabos are young or infantilized. I know how the internet works. I can already sense the outrage waves beaming back at me from the future. Cut the keystrokes and take a breath. However, on average, youthful yabos are usually smaller. Besides all that noise, I'm an artist. I can draw yabos however I see fit. So if you don't like it, go doodle your own yabos, fella. When you've got yabos at a 3/4 angle like these, the closer yabo is usually just a simple swoop that's somewhat aligned with the far yabo's swoop. For those of you wondering where I got the term yabo from, do yourself a favor and watch Hocus Pocus. It's cheesy and amazing, and I love it. If you're already familiar with the term, please use it more often. It might just be what we need to make the world whole again. Just like with anything else, consider your light source when shading the yabos. Lighting the bottoms tends to make the yabos look a little fuller. That's an artist trick that also applies to fashion. Darker colors slim things down and make things shrink. Brighter colors bring things forward and can make things look bigger. I like to light just the bottoms most of the time with the hard light brush I use to shade. It's just a personal taste thing. You can light your yabos however you wanna. I keep the tops unlit with that brush, but I let the softer light brush hit them along with anything else that's in its radius. Yabo lighting, it's serious stuff. Anyway, I ended up making one of the same mistakes with this drawing and made the lines black, which I quickly corrected by coloring them gray from my palette. So when someone uses a personality trait to describe a character, the best way to express that in a drawing is through a pose. In my last video, I mentioned that drinking poses aren't very dynamic. There's not much you can do with them. You can't really drink while you're running around or jumping or doing something cool. So with this one, the requester didn't give me a specific pose or thing she should be doing, but they did tell me to make her childish. To save time, I chose a pose that was pretty static and not super dynamic, but it evokes the childishness and the magical girl theme. I went with the dark violet and gold color scheme because it's unusual for magical girls. Most of the ones I've seen were bright colors and lots of white. I also chose blue for the eyes because I thought it worked better with the outfit colors. Another reason why I went with violet is because I think it's a nice color on redheads. You don't see it on them often. I once saw Joan from Mad Men wear it and I really liked it on her. So last week, I talked about nothing going right, and you'll see that's still happening here. I don't know what's going on, but I may need a new computer. Again. Because of all of that last week, and my own inability to get things right, I opened up about how difficult everything was and how frustrated that made me. I want to be clear, I didn't mean that I hated the concept or the drawing. I like it now, and I liked it after it was finished. So even though no one really gave me guff about it, I wanted to apologize in case there was any confusion or hurt feelings. When I finished the piece, I decided I didn't like the color of the skin outline or freckles, so I went back in later and changed them by adding another normal layer mask above the overlay I did for the lines, and that made everything easier on the eyes. I considered doing this with the bow on the back, but I just left it the same outline color as the other yellow bits. As a matter of fact, I accidentally left the bow lines uncolored and went back over them when I adjusted the skin and freckles. So I guess it's a good thing that I wasn't happy with the skin outlines or the freckles. That's something to keep in mind. There's always room for improvement. You can always make adjustments and touch-ups. Just remember to save revisions of those files. That way, you don't do something to your piece that you can't undo. That being said, don't go crazy and try to make everything perfect. It's not worth pulling your hair out over. Quit when you're satisfied. Don't keep staring at it, like me, and lament about what you could have done better. Man, Don't know what got into me there. Such a cough. Must be allergies. Ooh. Overanalyzing doesn't really do you or anyone else any good, and sometimes it can lead you to ruin the piece altogether. I used to do that a lot more and used way more layers in my work than I do now. I'm not any less careful, I'm just more confident. Doing anything artistic is like learning to use a stove for the first time. Think about the first time you cooked eggs on your own and the most recent time. Chances are, you're more confident in your ability and comfortable with your tools. I'd have said it was like riding a bike, but I still have trouble balancing on those bad boys. I didn't learn how to ride one until I was 16 because I was cool. Overall, I didn't have as many technical hiccups with this piece thanks to updates and troubleshooting. And the ones that I did have, I was used to and knew how to handle. As a result, I was more relaxed and able to get everything to go more smoothly. Speaking of smooth, I also went back and smoothed out the lines a little here and there on the arms and face when I adjusted the colors. I'd have recorded that too, but I'd just gotten done with a day of packing for an upcoming move, so honestly, I forgot to start up the recording software. Whoops! In the end, I was happier with my revisions and am pleased to send it along to the requester. Thanks for watching!